But yeah, I just, in my first week at Xerox, they sent me, well, they told me that my new role was going to look after the South Island areas and stuff like that. And my first week, didn't really get a lot of training, and they said, you're going to go down to the South Island. Never been to the South Island. And you're going to travel around the South Island. You're going to meet all the managers, sales managers, and it was all Pākehā people. And my first experience turning up was...
with dreads.
With dreads. The operational manager's like, oh, you bought a big suitcase. Business people have those little cases, they're just this real small. And I, as if I'm going on holiday, I had a massive one plus the backpack. So I was like, oh, you guys, I didn't really plan to have room in the car for your suitcase, but we'll just make it fit. I was like, okay then. And so I met the first manager, Nelson, just grumpy as, and they're just like, man, Pākehā people again, I've never known how to deal with managers and that kind of stuff. So it was okay. It wasn't too bad. And then I had to drive with the same manager down from Nelson down to Christchurch.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk. I didn't have anything common to talk about to this fella. And but yeah, it was nerve-wracking.
How come you had to drive down? Why couldn't they fly you guys down?
No, he wanted me to find out. I'd see how the country is, so looking at people where they have to travel, sales have to travel, and have a bit of understanding of what they have to do out in the field and that kind of stuff. But man, we got to Kaikoura, and then we were like, how far are we away from Christchurch? And then I fell asleep, and he said to me, did you just nod off? And I said, yeah, sorry. He goes, I don't expect you to go to sleep. I need you to stay up. I was like, fuck. Okay, cool. And then we got to Christchurch.
Yeah.
And then I told him where I was staying. It was at the Heritage Hotel. And he went to drop me off at this motel. And I was like, oh, it doesn't say Heritage. And I grabbed it and I said, oh, I'm staying at the Heritage. And he goes, no, we don't put you up in at the Heritage. And I said, oh, this is my form where I'm going to stay. He goes, oh, okay. Normally you wouldn't be there, but okay, if that's what you've got.
Hey, this guy.
And I was just like, man. And my experience started getting a lot worse.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, man, what have I got myself into? And then, so he dropped me off at the Heritage, but he didn't drop me off he goes, oh, you just hop out here and just walk here. I was like, okay, that's cool. With my big, with my suitcase and everything, just walking in and that kind of stuff. And, my experience of, I didn't have a credit card, to swipe in and stuff like that. I just had a form saying, look, I'm staying here. But I did have a credit card, but I didn't want to use it because I didn't know if I was going to get charged. So I just said, no, I don't have a credit card. Then I said, oh, we need to bill you. And
Bill you?
Yeah, just like, if you sign in, they have to charge you, as a deposit. So that's okay, that's cool. And so I said, oh, can I just give my card or give you cash? So that was all sweet. That was all done. And I just stayed in and I was thinking, man, it doesn't say if I can order food. And I was like, oh. So I rang that manager and I said to him, oh, do I book the food on here? Because, oh, no, normally you go out and get your own food.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, then that's cool. So I was buying my own food and that kind of stuff, but I just didn't want to buy it because I didn't know what to do. And I was in Christchurch for 3 days because I was taking over a guy from in Christchurch, and he was just, and I met him, and he's a real bogan dude, and he goes, oh, so you're the guy that's come to take over my job? And I said, oh, yeah. He goes, oh, I manage the warehouse, plus I look after this other area. And I was like, I'm not looking after the warehouse. Yeah. He goes, no, you're responsible to look after the warehouse and the drivers. And I was like, shit, this wasn't in my job description.
Yeah.
He goes, you need to run it like this. And I said to him, I said, oh, can we go for lunch? You and I just have a bit of a chat. He goes, oh, yeah, I suppose so. And he just said to me, he's just like, yeah, the reason why I'm leaving is because I'm stressed about everything. I was like, oh, man, this guy's just like adding more to the fight, I was like, okay, that's cool. So I just took it, whatever he was doing. Yeah. And then the sales manager for whole South Island said to me, oh, well, you're going to meet all the sales reps. And I'll be in the boardroom at this time. So I go up there, sit in the boardroom by myself, waiting for everyone to come in. So everyone comes through into the boardroom, and I saw, oh, he looks like a brownie, you know. And then I'm like, "G'day, mate." I was like, "Oh, Australia." And then I was like, so everyone sat down, and there was a few people that weren't able to sit down because there wasn't enough seat. And then the manager said to me, "The seat's not for you. You can stand." And I was like, "Man, what kind of introduction is this?"
Far, man.
So here's me standing back, and they just having their own sales meetings and everything like that.
Yeah.
And he just said to me, just before we finish, do you wanna say anything? Do you want to introduce yourself? And I said, why not introduce myself? You know, in the beginning, who I was. You know, I'm a guest. And I just told them, you know, my background and stuff like that. And they go, "Okay, see ya. We're gonna carry on. You can go." I was like, "Man, that's day one. 2 more days here." Then he tells me, "Oh, I'm gonna drive you down to Dunedin and then Queenstown." Man, 2 days there, just trying to find ways to connect with people. There was a few that I connected with, which was cool. But yeah, it was quite shallow though. I was like, cool. Okay, met a whole lot of Pākehā people. I'm going to move on to meet more.
Yeah.
Got to Dunedin on day 4. Got into another boardroom. Straight away, introduced myself, what I was doing, and they said, "Yeah, you're just another Aucklander coming down trying to take our jobs." I was like, "Oh, well, not really. I'm just here to try and support what I need to do," and that kind of stuff. He goes, "Nah." And at that time, there was a managing director who was quite strict, and like people were scared of him, eh? And this guy who only just started in the company like a couple of months before I did, and he said to me, "Yeah, I asked you once. If I have to ask you the second time, the third time I go straight to the MD." And then I was like, "What? This is it. That was it for me." You know, I thought, okay, I'm just going to sit here and just listen. I rang my boss straight after that, and I said to him, "Look, this was the threat that I got. This is my experience down here. And I'm off to Queenstown, which I'm thinking that's going to be even worse, you know."
It's like the deeper you go in the south, the more racist.
It's just getting worse, you know.
By that time, you're already on the oxygen level, and it's already the needle's down.
Yeah. And I just thinking, man, these people are so mean. You know, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get back to Auckland. All I could think about was getting back to Auckland. It was just this crazy. And then, when he said that, that was it for me.
What was your boss's advice when you told that to him? Your boss in Auckland?
He just gets, "Don't worry about it. Wait till you get back to Auckland. You know, we'll sort it." And we'll sort it out, all right. Well, I'll just leave, you know. And then I went to Queenstown, and they had this other manager who had a flash-ass car, you know. Haven't been in like a flash-ass car. Anyway, he drove me from Dunedin to Queenstown, and I met this other guy who had no idea what I was doing there, you know. And I was just like, this is just getting worse. You know, it's just, and then he goes, "Oh, what time's your flight?" And I said it was at 3:00, and we were still in Queenstown, and I had like 2 hours to get there. And I said, "I don't even know how to, reorganize my flight, any of that kind of stuff, because the person who's an admin person back in Auckland was actually on leave. So who do I take it out of my own money to fly back?" So anyway, he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna rush off, and he took us through like the fucking boardwalk to everything, and I was just thinking, and I'm looking at the time, and I was like, man, I hope I make it back to Dunedin. And then the next, it's overheating. His car was overheating. Do you know the first thing he said to me? He goes, "Do you know how to fix a car?" And I said, "I don't own a car." Just, so I'd never owned a car. I catch public transport, because I didn't know what to do, because I think he just thought I know how to fix a car. And in some ways I was thinking, maybe he thinks I steal cars, and maybe how to fix a car. So nah. So finally we got it. All it needed is a top up with water. So the radiator was overheating. So we just made it, my flight, man. I got back to Auckland. I felt like I was home. I was just like, man, how do I deal with going to work on Monday, tell them this is not the job. But anyway, I got back to Auckland, and it was about 9:00 at night, and I phoned my boss's manager, who actually the one that hired me. And I told him about it, and he goes, "Don't rush to anything. It's just all new. So we'll sort it out on Monday. Yeah, and then I worked, and then I carried on working for 3 months, just to see if I can stick it out.
Was there any response about all your experience? Like the bad experience you had going down? Was there any response
So
from Auckland?
I shared it with some of my team members who have been there for years. So I listened to their conversations. And I thought maybe I can share a bit more of my experience with them.
Because were you thinking maybe you're not the only one that had this experience?
No, I thought I was the only one.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one because there wasn't other brownies until I started moving around the business. And then I found there's a Samoan lady who's from the Yandel sisters who worked on our at reception. There was another Samoan lady who was working in like a billing team, and I was like, and then I saw the people in the warehouse. I said, there's a brown manager there too. I said maybe it's okay, but every time I went to the cafeteria, I would, sort of walk past them on purpose, even though the line's that way. But I would just like walk past them until if they said, hey, that kind of stuff. So I tried to mix in with them. But they had a manager who was also a bit of an asshole too. I was like, he's a bit mean to me. He didn't really acknowledge me and that kind of stuff. But the two ladies that I spoke to were really cool, lovely ladies. And we became really good friends, even though they're like in their 60s. But they were really good, that kind of stuff. So there's a bit of hope there.
Yeah.
I thought, maybe it's not too bad, but yeah, as I just continued to work hard, and one thing that I remember is that person who said that I'll ask you once, I'll ask you twice, and this third time I'm going to go straight to the MD. That's stayed with me for such a long time, and I just said, this guy is going to hassle me constantly, because I'm going to be dealing with a lot of his stuff. So I said to myself, even though I don't like him as much, I'm going to do whatever I can to assist him. And we became really good friends.
Oh, really?
After a couple of months, because every time he asked for something, I would always say to him, look, I didn't have the answer, but can I come back to you, say, like in an hour? I would go and search and find out what I need to get from him. And I did that every time for him. And then after a couple of months, he was like, hey, bro, how are you? And I was like...
Changes.
Yeah. And I thought, and there was another rep who was also the same, who's... I always looked up to this guy that... he's a pommy, and he'll walk through and he'll talk to some of the other guys. And then I used to laugh the way because of his accent. And so he had a pommy accent. And then I would imitate him after to the guys in the team. And they would like laugh all the time every time I like try and talk like a pommy.
Yeah.
And so I would do that. And so people started laughing at what I was doing. And so I would continue to mock people or imitate people. And so every time someone would laugh and just like that's where I was able to start connecting with a lot of people. And then that guy that I was just talking about earlier, I said, if I can get one person on board with me, what about if I did 95% of the business that I could do, that I could work with, to make not only my job easier, but to make it more fun, so that my experience that I've had, it's worth it. And so I continue to drive that at work, is I get to know everybody. And so, this is where we're at now, is like everybody relies on you now because you're so reliable. They trust what you do, but at a cost, it comes with time. But I've grown so much by learning a lot about people and that kind of stuff.